Tonight we're going to talk about the curve foot, and let's show it to you. Okay. This is the regular standard issue foot. This is the regular foot, and yeah, most of them do not have red, but you know the story behind that. And this is the curve, what we call the curve foot. It's much smaller. So what happens is it lets you go around curves a lot easier, and I'll show you why. The other differences it has, if you look at the back of it, okay, this is called the footprint. And this is what hits the feed dog. So it's got a long footprint. It's nearly 2 inches long from here to here. So therefore, it's a straight line with those feed dogs. When you're trying to turn a curve, that straight line's trying to hold you like a guide, almost like a woodworking fence. It's holding you. Where this one, it's only about not even 1.5 inches long. I think it's what? It's 1.25 inches. Okay, so therefore it allows you to go around curves a lot quicker, a lot easier, because fewer teeth on the feed dogs are touching. So, and even the back, like look at, like here's where even if I put them, it's not only shorter in the front, making it easier to turn, but it is in the back. Okay, here's our machine. Okay, so I'm going to put this one on. And if it's new, so is it on there? Yep, it's on there. Okay. So what I have done is I've set up my machine, and pardon the mess over there, I'm still quilting the quilt from hell over there. Okay, so I'm using just regular embroidery thread because I want it to be, and I'm using an ombre, which is green and I think green and white and yellow, I believe. And we're going to do, let's see if I can put this over here so we can see better. We're going to pretend this is a great big placemat, you know, a normal size placemat. It's small, it's not much bigger. So we're going to make, so I've just made a quilt sandwich. A piece of fabric went into my machine. I'm just going to make a quilt. I made a quilt sandwich, and I did rapid fire stipple quilting. Actually, I called it frenzied lunatic quilting. It's not even stippling, it's frenzy quilting. I have set up my machine for a 3-thread. You could use a wide or a narrow. I'm using a narrow overlock just to keep in proportion with the scale of the design. So I did a test stitch, and here's the test stitch. I wasn't too thrilled, and this was just using one layer of thread, and I thought it looked a little sparse. So what I did instead is I have run 2 strands of thread through the upper looper. So what I did was I just simply put 2 strands together when I threaded it, and it's working just fine. I think you can even get up to, some people said they've gotten 7 layers of regular like embroidery thread through here, through the loopers, and they've gotten up to 2 layers of thread in the needle. So you want to have it either the same variegated or a matching color in the needle. Okay, now what I did to prepare this is after I stippled it, I also stay stitched it, and I don't know if you can see it, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and yes, I got a tuck. It's okay. It's only a sample. You want to stay stitch it together to make sure that we catch both sides when we are doing the fancy stitching. Okay, so I'm going to cut out a piece of this to start. So you can see I'm cutting right up to the stay stitching. And I don't want to cut through it. I want about maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches. That's good. Okay, so what this is for is so that it can give you a place to start sewing without cutting. Okay, so here's what we do. This gives me a place to put. So this is going to put see, I won't have to cut the stay stitching, and it won't give me a lump of stuff when I'm stitching over. Okay, so I am just going to start stitching, and I am going, here's my blade, I'm just going to cut right up to the stay stitch line. My stitch length here, I have my stitch selector on B because I am using the narrow, but you could use the wide, and if you were using the wide overlock stitch, you'd have your needle in position 1, and you'd have your stitch selector at A. I've got it at B. I have got it at just a little bit bigger than the medium cut, and I have my stitch, you have to play, I have my stitch length at 1. You could use thicker threads. So if you've got, say, Pearl Crown Rayon, you could use that. You can use the Designer 6. You can, any of the 12 weight sulkies, you can use all of that stuff in here. You might have to adjust your stitch length if your thread is thick. But, okay, so I'm just gonna, you don't want to go too fast because I've got a lot of thread in here. And now, we were always taught, and I've done this before, that when we would turn a curve, we'd put your hand here and you'd pivot around to make it go around a curve nice and smooth. But with a serger, sergers don't like to do anything but go straight, so you have to fool it into thinking it's going straight, which means your hands have to stay in front of the foot at all times. So what I'm going to do is push around this curve, and with the curved foot, it's a lot easier. See, it's not gripping that fabric. See how smoothly it goes, much more smooth. Don't push it, don't pull it, let the machine do what it's supposed to do. Let it feed how it wants to. You'll get a better stitch. When you start tugging, two things happen. You can either break needles, which can happen, or you're going to distort your fabric, or you're going to make it stretch, or whatever. So we don't want that to happen. Okay, I'm going to continue around. And notice I'm just keeping my fingers, and it's stitching like butter. I'm coming to where I started. Okay, see this tail? I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm going to stitch along until it just cuts the tail. I'm going to let it go. As soon as it nips the tail, I'm going to stop. I'm going to lower my blade. Okay? We could stitch so that we veer off, but that's going to be ugly. That is not going to be pretty. Okay, I'm going to stitch right over to where it starts. It's not cutting. If I left the blade up, it would cut all these ends off. I don't want that to happen. And now I'm going to overlap this, raise the needles to its highest position, and I'm going to slowly walk it off until I can grab it, the threads, and then cut. I'm going to leave a nice long tail. Okay, see how nice that looks? I'm going to take a double-eyed needle or a big tapestry needle, thread this through, and weave it in the back. You're going to cut, you could put fray block there if you want, and this makes a very quick edging. Like for placemats. This is just going to be a mug for my coffee, or actually for my cold drink, because I don't like coffee that much, but because it's so humid, and when you put a cold drink in any room, it starts dripping all over the furniture, so This will be a great thing to absorb. Cut all these threads because they're going to be in all different different places, and pull the thread out. Okay, I am going to take this knife cover off. It's linty in there from that. It doesn't take long to lint up your machine. I'm going to put my upper looper selector down to, says down. Sometimes they all pretty much all look like that. And I'm going to turn this hand wheel until it, now see it's locked down, it's not moving anymore. See, it's good and stuck. Okay, the other thing I didn't get all the thread. I'm going to put in another needle. Okay. Got my little wrench. There we go. I'm tighten that. And I'm going to loosen these. And I'm probably, do I want to do a wide or a narrow cover stitch? Oh, one thing I wanted to tell you, this you could actually stitch over ribbon. You can use this as a regular sewing foot. You know, so yes, you can leave this on all the time if you wanted to. You just have a little bit less control, and you don't want this on if you're gathering or stretching. It's just not touching all the feed dogs right, so your differential feed is not going to work so wonderful. So I'm going to loosen these, and I'm going to set it up for, let's see, I'll probably do a wide cover stitch. Put in one needle. There. And the other one here. Only bad thing about 2 needles is you have to thread 2 needles. Now if you have the Triumph, that's not an issue. I'm going to now thread my needles. This goes up and around, okay. And what I like about this machine is that you do not have to thread it in any particular order. I felt like doing the needles, so we'll do the needles. This one. Now when you're threading your machine, make sure your presser foot is up. Don't thread your machine while presser foot is down, because then the thread never gets into the tension path as it should. Okay. It goes in. Come on. Now this one, you can't, it's got no slot here for the threads, so we're going to have to do a piece of fabric in order to get all the threads underneath. Now I'm going to thread the looper. So on this machine, it just goes in the hole in the head, down by the earlobes, up over and in. Put my down. Where's the end of the thread? Okay, and just put this in here. Oh, there we go. And here it is. So I'm just going to cut it to about 2 inches and tuck it back in. Okay, I'm going to lower this. Take 1 stitch. Needle down, needle up. Pull your threads through. Okay. And put the table on. And now we're shut. The blade is down. I have this on, now it's on Coverstitch, and I'm going to run a test. I always test my threads, and I have it still at a 1 stitch length. Okay, now when I'm doing something, because now this is going to be something decorative. Yeah, see, that was so not good. 1, 2, 3 threads. I'm going to run another test, because Coverstitch does not like to sew outside of fabric. So I always have to have something. Nope, something. And see, what I'm going to do is hold on to these threads and I'm going to pull these all back. Something slipped out of a tension disc. I'll just do a short corner. Okay, now I'm finally getting a decent stitch. Alright, I'm going to shorten the stitch length to 2. And this keeps breaking. And it's stuck. I got this one really good, so you get the idea. Okay, is that helping? But yeah, things are just not working this morning, or this evening. I'm going to try one more time. If not, then we're going to call it a night. Okay. Just popped. Okay, I give up. I can't use this thread. Why not rayon thread? Rayon thread only has a shelf life of about 20 years because it's a natural fiber and it breaks like there's, see, it's just breaking everywhere and it's shredding. It's just being nasty stuff. Whereas a rayon or a polyester, here's a poly. It's almost as shiny, but it's harder to break. Well, you know what? Let's switch these needles. Maybe just take these stupid threads out. And I'm going to replace them with the polyester. I have 3 threads. Here's the third one. I'm going to raise the presser foot. I'm going to wrap these on my finger so that it's tight. Wrapping the threads here, and I'm going to pull all these threads into the channels. And put my presser foot down again. I'm going to cut some extra again. And using the curve, I would turn it. Bingo, it was the thread. See, that looks good. Much better. Okay, I'm going to shorten the stitch length now. Now I'm going to go to this and push. And I don't have the Triumph or the Ovation or the new one that has the bigger throat space, so I am limited by this area. But I can fold it and sneak it in there, roll it around. You don't want to go too fast. You're going to break a needle. See, let's just... Okay, and I'm just going to stitch off. Pull all this out. I'm going to hand walk some stitches off. And see, now I can scoot this back. See, now I've got a pattern on here. That looks kind of interesting. I think if I were to do this again, I think a narrow one would look better. Mostly because this is a little wide for the scale, but you know, that's really cute. In fact, I think I will stitch around here a little bit. And that way, when I press it, I'll have a nice little mug rug for my sewing room so I don't get everything wet with my iced tea. So anyway, any questions? So I will see you Tuesday or Thursday. Have a great evening. Stay warm, stay dry, and stay safe and healthy. Bye. Love you guys.